Hi all, I have an amazing game to show you because it's quite close to home. One of my club mates, John Pigott, who has been on the ECF, the English Chess Federation rating list, with astronomical, very, very high ECF ratings recently. He's been an FM for a number of years, and he got to play Alexey Shirov. He went to Reykjavik, the Reykjavik Open, and he played Shirov in round 10. Let's have a look at that game. Okay, so could John actually get his final IM norm? He actually has 2 IM norms from way back, and in the first tournament, by the way, he got his IM norm. I was there. I was a low rated one of his lower rated opponents. But anyway, so E4 from John Pigott, Alexey Shirov C5, and we have an invitation for a Sicilian Sveshnikov if white plays D4. While this plane flies past, I'll just wait for a moment. So D4 will be very sharp and theoretical, so perhaps not the wisest choice when you're playing against Fire on Board himself, Alexey Shirov, who's a 2693, not a bad rating, and pretty strong tactically. Maybe, just maybe, it's better to try and steer the game into more positional territory. And Bishop B5, known as the anti-Sveshnikov sometimes, is a good approach, and that's what John used. So not wanting to go into heavy Sveshnikov stuff. D6. By the way, there is a classic Kasparov-Shirov game where Kasparov did actually get a massive knight on D5 and use an exchange sack. Fascinating game. That's on this channel if you want to check that out. Okay, so D6. Now, here, white sometimes gives up the bishop. That is one of the more popular moves, actually, but it's given as equal here, the evaluation. White maintains that bishop with castling. So now bishop D7, so black's going to avoid structural damage. Rook E1, giving the bishop a parking space back on F1. A6, and that parking space is used. Bishop G4. And now quite often here in line book, the move H3 is quite popular. Or C3. The third most popular move was chosen by John, D3. Just to give you a flavour of this position, if black plays this and plays on the dark squares, it's thought to be about equal. Okay, so D3, knight F6, knight BD2, E6. The slight issue with E6 is this bishop, okay, it's out of the pawn chain. You might think, well, at least it's not going to be a bad bishop, but actually it's subject of some attention now after H3, C3, and again now after bishop E7, G4, more attention, and even more attention is lavished on this bishop. Perhaps not with the immediate threat of knight takes G6, but F4, F5. Black now reacts with knight D7. So a quick reaction to this knight. Let's say Shirov. Let's say he castled. F4 or even taking on G6 might be good. This is okay as well. I'll just leave that situation. It's complicated anyway. So anyway, Shirov forces matters with knight D7, hitting that knight immediately. The knight actually goes to G2. Now we do have this idea F4, F5 again. So again, in a way, this bishop is center stage. H5, and again the bishop is center stage. Now, is this a serious concern, or is this one the greater concern? Perhaps taking the pawn is the greater concern. Now, technically, it seems black might be able to do something which looks a little bit odd. Bishop G5. He didn't do this, but according to engine view on this position, it seems as though they like black a little bit. Maybe it's because of the dark squares. There are dark square weaknesses. Putting pawns on light squares is, ready to exchange off the dark square bishop. Maybe this overall is interesting for black. This bishop G5 move here, but it wasn't played. We have knight DE5, and now this kind of pawn sack by Shirov. Is this a brilliant approach? This pawn sack. It does maintain that bishop, and does it look as though white's kind of fragmented his own king? But we have now knight B3 with the simple idea of D4 to kick one of black's best pieces back. Bishop H4. And now knight g2. So putting pressure on there. Queen f6 might have been a concern, by the way. d4 here immediately, yeah, might be not advisable. Let's have a quick look. Knight g2, why d4 immediately? I think that's okay as well, actually. Yeah, this is okay as well, apparently. Okay, but knight g2, we have queen f6, which gives up potentially this bishop. There is a threat now. Queen takes f2. That's taken. And now rook e3. So with the idea of rook g3, Shirov plays super aggressively here. f5. Now this is like, it seems like a bit like burning the boats here. Maybe Shirov is a bit annoyed by his tournament. He hasn't done particularly well in earlier rounds and just wants to sort of just destroy John Pigott basically with really super aggressive play. But it's a little bit double-edged. That's the only downside. It's a little bit double-edged. There is actually a downside to this style of play. It can be a little bit controversial. d4, trying to kick back one of Black's best pieces. But now we have f4. This is a bit committal though. It pushes back the rook. Now Shirov plays what seems to be a startling move. An absolutely startling move. Of course, Shirov is responsible for one of the most startling moves of all time in the endgame with bishop h3. This is a bishop move, which maybe you can guess if I give you 5 seconds, starting from now. Or maybe not. Bishop g6. Is it too dangerous to take this? Well, it's dangerous not to take it, because you know this is a serious threat. So it's taken. Rook h6. And now, yeah, it looks as though, hang on a sec, this is a rechargeable knight here. Whoops. Like a rechargeable battery, but worse. And the king doesn't seem to have that much protection around it. This bishop's kind of cramped. Is this position actually defendable here? Is White going to just get mated in this position? I think there's only 1 or 2 moves which can help White survive. I'll give you some examples of what doesn't help White survive. Let's say king h2, that just goes down to queen takes f2 immediately. That's a ridiculous move. And then even more ridiculous continuation could be this, and that would finish White quite quickly. No, king h2 might not be the best defensive move. Defensive players note. So that leaves a few other things. What about taking the knight? Big greedy. Rook takes g6, and here if king h2, queen takes f2 again is slaughter time, like that. For example, rook g1. Not too clever here. This one, not too clever. Queen takes h3, and this sort of attack is not the sort of position you want to defend against Shirov. Horrible things are happening. Black is mauling White here. So that wouldn't be a good idea, bishop g2. No, but there are 2 moves here which, sorry, not d takes e5. There are 2 moves which are good. I think John played one of the best moves. Well, they need to, both moves follow the same ingredient pattern of this. I wonder if you can guess, actually, defensive task here against Shirov. How do you avoid getting mated? You'll need to use the ingredient anyway, the ingredient move rather, whatever you do. If I give you 5 seconds, what would you play? So you are a piece up at the moment. Alright, try to defend this. Black gave a bishop back. Bishop takes f4. Yeah. Now Shirov took here on f4. Let's see. If he played check, then we can have bishop g3 getting in the way. And this position, bishop g2, and this is okay for White. Just about. So bishop takes f4. This is a heroic defense. Okay. So we have queen takes f4, not letting the bishop interfere, just taking it off. Now takes here. So it's slightly different here. There's no queen takes h3 because the queen's there, not there. Slight subtle difference. In this line now, bishop g2 is possible without queen takes h3. So that one extra move actually really helps here. Now there are options to attack in this position. Knight takes e5 looks ferocious. Yeah, but actually rook e3, now that pawn's gone, rook e3 to defend f3, and this is okay. Queen h6 we can take here. That should be okay, except it's not. No, white's getting mated there. Hold on a sec, pardon me. No, this would be a blunder move. Sorry, I should have marked that out more in analysis. This is losing. E takes d6. White can play king h1 to parry queen takes h3. Queen g5, rook g1. This is okay. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. Now, okay, let's go to the game continuation. Bishop g2, queen g5 was played. Now John played, what would you play here? White's still a piece up now. White's a piece up. Queen g4. Now the game ended here actually. Shirov accidentally seemed to touch the queen and resigned. Maybe his intention was actually queen h6. That's what John has indicated himself. Queen h6. But he touched White's queen and resigned. And because of this, John's rating performance was enough to secure third IM norm. So at the age of 59 years old, he's got his third IM norm. So I think it's just an issue, slight issue of rating now, but he could become from an FM to an IM. So fantastic achievement for John. Let's have a quick look though at the final position here. If queen h6 was played, I believe this is okay for white. Queen f3, queen e3, and white is a piece up. He can start to kick back this knight, and it should be a sunny day here. No real threats on the horizon. Wonderful achievement. And also, you know, I think if you want to be a high FIDE player, you've got to be a go-getter. You've got to be a travel person. You've got to travel around the world, and it's fantastic that John went all that way to Reykjavik. But it's also, I think, something I would be tempted if I was much more adventurous, because it's the classic 1972 venue between Fisher and Spassky, Reykjavik. So it's great that they have this yearly open now, kind of paying tribute to Fisher's, you know, boom in that area for chess, Reykjavik, Iceland. Okay, but yeah, congratulations to John Pigott. And also Shirov helped another norm seeker, Hambleton from Canada, get a GM norm, and that might be the subject of another video soon. So Shirov really helps some norm seekers in this tournament. But yeah, no, he's a fantastic player, and some of his legendary games are also featured on this channel, like his legendary Bishop h3 sacrifice, arguably one of the greatest endgame moves of all time. So check that out as well. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.